One thing's for certain, the suicide of Aaron Hernandez was the best possible outcome for the lawyers in the case. With his murder trial behind him, an appeal ahead, also a wrongful death lawsuit coming up, my question is, how was Hernandez going to pay for all this representation or pay out in a wrongful death lawsuit? From the New York Post, April 20th, 2017, it's unclear what Hernandez's estate is worth. 4 years ago, he signed a $40 million contract with the Patriots. He forfeited at least half that when he was arrested for the Lloyd murder a year later in 2013. His sprawling 5,600 square foot mansion was listed for sale a year ago at $1.5 million. But in a legal proceeding in 2015, a lawyer representing Hernandez claimed his client had run out of money, telling the judge, "There's nothing left here as a practical matter." The money train was coming to an end. After years of trials and his NFL salary being suspended, it may have been true that there was little left out of the estate, certainly not enough for a long-term payday. Are we completely certain of that? No. And we probably won't be for a while, but it does raise some questions, especially when along comes his suicide, and that changes things. Again, from the New York Post. Now that Hernandez may have had his conviction posthumously vacated under an obscure legal doctrine memorialized in Massachusetts case law called abatement ab initio, the Patriots may actually be contractually obligated to pay Hernandez's estate $3.5 million in bonuses that were stopped hours after his murder arrest in 2013. The Patriots may also owe Hernandez an additional $2.5 million in guaranteed base salary that was also halted after his 2013 arrest. Well, there's something new I've never heard of. Getting rid of your conviction after your death. Well, let's just forget all about it. Abatement ab initio, meaning from the beginning, is a sweeping judicial action that can have devastating impacts on the rights of victims, according to the National Crime Victims Law Institute. The common law doctrine applied when a criminal defendant dies pending an appeal operates to extinguish all criminal proceedings initiated against the defendant from indictment through conviction. Court cites two policy rationales to support the doctrine. One, it is unfair to maintain a conviction against a deceased defendant which is untested by appellate review. And two, the primary justification for pursuing criminal proceedings is to punish and or rehabilitate defendants. Those no longer apply after the defendant's death. Now, both of these rationales are dubious but have been upheld in federal court. So now the money train keeps chugging along. The NFL suspended payments to Hernandez. Why? Because of criminal involvement. And unless there is something in his contract that we don't know about, the NFL is probably going to have to pay what Hernandez's estate is owed. Now, the family has made mention, too, of a possible case against the state for negligence in the suicide of Aaron Hernandez. These are all sources of new income from a case that should have been concluded a long time ago, and with millions of dollars involved, there's going to be plenty of cash to go around. All right, so what are the conclusions here? Number one, the NFL should team up with the families of the victims and fight to the Supreme Court, if necessary, the abatement of Aaron Hernandez's conviction. Abatement is a flawed legal doctrine that relies on one simple idea. If a conviction is handed down legally at trial, that conviction is not valid until reviewed on appeal. Thus, the conviction should be abated, as citizens are innocent until proven guilty. This doctrine undermines the sovereignty of the jury system. It presumes that the judgments of a jury will be wrong and increases the power of the judiciary itself. Abatement also negates the interests of criminal victims, as there is little recourse against an innocent person. Number two, Hernandez's family should pursue a case of negligence against the state. And as a part of that case, the state should defend itself by looking at the conduct and communications of all the attorneys involved, from state prosecutors to defense counsel to families' representation. The question being, did anyone at any time in any way suggest to or insinuate that the best course of action for Aaron Hernandez would be to commit suicide. Was information of a personal nature revealed publicly, or was there a threat to reveal information that may have pushed Hernandez to kill himself? At this point, the Aaron Hernandez case is no longer about murder. It's about money, and the attorneys are the ones with the motive. And number 3, and this is a generalized thing that you should probably know, but it is very true, and this case points it out, the entire legal system is broken. Who would think that the things that you've been rightly convicted of would be just forgotten when you die? I don't think Pol Pot got that sort of treatment. I imagine Hitler's rolling over in his grave going, I should have killed myself after the trial. The structure and complexity of the legal system is so convoluted that justice itself is a fantasy. There's a simple test, my friends. If you, a citizen, a person who may be one day at the mercy of lawyers and judges, cannot fully understand and are enraged by the decisions being handed down and the conduct of the court officers, the system is most likely unjust. Make one thing clear, Aaron Hernandez is not the victim in this case. He is a murderer and should be remembered as such, and the family should be compensated if that's even possible. But there are questions, in my mind at least, as to how the case has been handled and will be handled in the future. One thing's for certain, the best possible outcome for the lawyers in this case was the suicide of Aaron Hernandez.